A war is brewing. A war that could upend the very fabric of society. The United States is on the brink of civil war again.
Oh, no. The war is between the Pokemoners and the Palworld people. I mean, this is obviously much more serious. Actual potential civil war aside, Palworld has upended the entire gaming landscape so tremendously that by January 24th, 6 days after release, it sold 8 million copies. With a budget of only $6.5 million US, which means these dudes have made a lot of money. But the developer of Palworld, Pocket Pair, a small Japanese team that had no experience apparently making any type of gun animations, so they employed a 20-year-old convenience store worker, part-time convenience store worker, who was obsessed with making reload animations for guns, a team that had no experience in the Unreal Engine and had to learn on the fly from an engineer they hired, has somehow already made the biggest game of 2024 so far. But honestly, the game isn't even really that good. So why is it popular? Pocket Pair, as I said, the developer behind Palworld, has experience making open world survival crafting games. They made a game called Craftopia. You've never heard of it because no one cared about it, barely anyone plays it today. Hell, I couldn't even find reviews of it from any major site or anyone. The reason I bring up this basically irrelevant game is that Pocket Pair had no past successes that could make you reasonably believe that they would succeed with whatever happened to come next from them. But Craftopia does tell us about the bones of Palworld, an open world survival crafting MMO game that has pals in it that you can capture and do battle with other people and pals. Also, you can put the pals in camps that make them concentrate on work. And you can put in a setting that makes them work extra cruel work hours. Thank God they don't let you grow a funny little mustache, huh? That would just complete the trifecta of shit in this game. Goose-stepping all that aside, Palworld is honestly just more of the same we've seen from other games. It's a bare-bones game that honestly adds nothing new to the genres it is in. The combat is clunky, the management systems in the game are god-awful to use. Try getting one of your pals to stay on the job you gave them and see if you don't get a little frustrated. And its only things to do are just that. It is an interactive product. You can move a character around and do simple tasks in the game, but I still play it a lot. I play the hell out of this game, so why am I and everyone else hooked on this nothing game? Well, surrounding those bare bones mechanics is the presentation that borrows quite heavily from another couple of games, the newer Zelda games specifically. Similar sound design, mechanics that are streamlined down but are presented in such a way as to elicit the same feeling of those Zelda games, a la things like the cooking mechanic. Man, even the graphics are fairly similar in art style to the new Zelda games, give or take some lighting differences. And of course, the pals themselves, I have no idea where they could have gotten those. All of this comes together to make you think of these games while playing this game. Is this a bad thing? No, derivative work is not a bad thing. Me, YouTubers, video game devs, or anyone who ever wanted to make something creative and sell it need to know what people want. And Palworld is reaching out to an audience that likes that Nintendo presentation. The expansion of the gameplay, actually, with shotguns and assault rifles, it's actually a really good idea, honestly. The game allows your Poke Pals to fight while also allowing an awesome element for you to get involved in the fight directly. Where Pokemon is a turn-based combat system, this game flips that on its head and takes you back to the medieval age of Pokemon, of this Pokemon world. In a world with Pokemon, we didn't always have Pokeballs, so people capturing, trading, and hunting Pokemon is actually a pretty fun idea, even though it is played for laughs here. So that's what Palworld is. And while I spoke on what I like, That doesn't make the game not absolutely busted, clunky, broken. Just pick your favorite gamer word to describe a busted game and put it here. So we understand the what, but that does not at all answer the why. Why is Palworld a success in a larger sense? The big picture as to why Palworld is now swimming in the Scrooge McDuck sea of gold coins is that they took advantage of a gap in the market that has needed filling for years now. How many times have you and your dumbass friends been sitting in your Discord call and someone said, you know what I want to see? It's an open world Pokemon game, AAA game. That would be so cool. Everyone has said this. And what did Nintendo do? They took Game Freak, a studio that has only been making low-scale Pokemon games for decades now, and told them with a quarter of the people and resources to make the Red Dead 2 of Pokemon games. It didn't work. It does not work. When Palworld's competition from Nintendo is Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, well, you don't exactly have a lot of competition, really. Both of those games were totally busted from day one. They are relatively some of the worst games in the Pokemon catalog, in my non-humble, very correct opinion, due to those issues. In addition, these weren't the exact games people wanted from Pokemon. Scarlet and Violet did very well in sales, but in the age of graphics and processing power we live in, very few people were looking for exactly another rehash of Pokemon with a clunkier presentation and mechanics. The formula is simply too old now and doesn't have enough innovation. Nintendo's failures are Palworld's gain. Whether Pocket Pair knew it or not, they had struck oil and they were 2008 Republicans saying it was time to drill, baby, drill. The crazy thing is that Palworld hasn't even really innovated on anything Pokemon has done at all. It's the same stuff you've already done in a Pokemon game, but it's got the bare minimum of what people wanted. It was just something different. Nintendo is extremely protective of their IP, but this can make them very stagnant creatively. Pokemon can only be one very sterile, very stagnant product for the rest of time. It can only be one thing in Nintendo's eyes. But Palworld, for all of the plagiarism allegations against it, is different. Finally, we can engage with Pokemon in a new way, a satirical, quite morally reprehensible way, but it's different, and sometimes that's all you need. Some Pokemon people have seen what other communities are getting and finally want to see Nintendo innovate, or at the very least try something new. Now, this does bring to mind some other questions. Is Palworld a passing fad? Will it even be here in like a year or two's time? Now, for a long time, I thought that Game Freak would need a much larger budget and a way bigger team to achieve what people really want from Pokemon. But in Palworld, Nintendo now has the example they needed. It's perfect for them. You see, Nintendo is a company that focuses on small budget, big profit. In a world of $1 billion budgets for video games, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were estimated roughly to have cost $48 million to make, a paltry sum in today's gaming world. And those games were the second or best-selling Pokemon games to date. They easily made back that budget and then some. So that's why I'm worried about Palworld. Don't get me wrong, do I think Nintendo is going to make something like Palworld in tone? Nah, but if you think Nintendo can't make a similar bare bones Palworld, even given their track record for relying on outdated and underpowered tech, then I don't know what you're smoking, but I want some. Oh, that looked like something different, huh? Little small wiener there. Nintendo just saw a bunch of nobodies make a game that was the equivalent of a rushed school project and make oodles of money. Nintendo has the means to more than eclipse what Palworld is, but that still doesn't actually mean they'll do it. See, Pocket Pair has creative freedom. They're not shackled down to be an extremely family-friendly tone. So, Nintendo isn't putting guns in their Palworld game. So what do? Is Nintendo gonna make like stun guns for their Palworld competitor? Oh, no, don't worry. These are magic tasers. They don't hurt the Pokemon. The Pokemon doesn't even know it was captured. It's fine. The Pokemon actually wants to go with you. And you just needed to prove you could beat them in a fight. They also all love working in your coal mine. They love it. All they want to do all day is just be your not slave. Just don't think about it too much, okay? Let's just buy the game. Honestly, the thing that is holding back Nintendo is the corner they've painted themselves into. I honestly don't think at this point Nintendo will make a Palworld competitor because it just doesn't fit what the brand of Pokemon is. So Palworld may have just birthed what right now is a small thorn in the side of Nintendo, but may one day end up being a constant reminder of the money Nintendo continues to lose out on. And that does bring to mind another question, one that has to be on the minds of Nintendo leadership. What to do about Palworld? Because those models, they look a bit similar, now don't they?